you mentioned that you arrived here in 1974 with
Yes,
Tito
74.
Rod,
Yeah.
rest in peace. Tapos ng time po na yon, siguro kung masishare nyo kung ano yung mga observations nyo about the Filipino community back then. And then, fast forward dun sa community ngayon. How far have we gone? And ano ba yung mga major progress na na-achieve natin as a community, ganon. Ano pa yung gusto nyo makita, di ba? So coming from a respected community leader and of course community observer, it weighs a lot kung ano yung insights nyo about our Filipino community. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, during that time, when we arrived in 74, that's July 74, 1974, my wife and I, and first thing that we had observed, actually, that we didn't know that there were lots of Filipinos in Winnipeg because nobody told us that there were lots of Filipinos in Winnipeg, that there was a garment industry in Winnipeg.
Oh.
During our orientation at the Canadian Embassy, they didn't mention that. They told us that whatever available job you could get. So when I was expecting so much, my expectation was so high, and then when we arrived, I was a little bit depressed.
Oh, why so?
Because number one, they didn't understand Filipinos then.
Oh, right.
That we are educated, that are university graduate, and they think as a third world country. That the country is poor, that the country would not produce intellectuals or writers or politicians or scholars. So there was ignorance. Ignorance was the common denominator, and we had difficulty applying for a job.
Okay.
And most of the jobs were given to us will be the low-paying job. Some of my friends will just be janitors, although most of them are accountants. Most of them are having a good job in the Philippines. But because the concept of the Filipinos is so alien to the Canadians, because the first exposure of the Canadians with the Filipinos were all professionals, also doctors, teachers, and nurses. But it was not the period of informing your neighbor that I'm a doctor, informing your friend that I'm a pharmacist, informing that I was teaching at the university. Nothing. So we had difficulty of finding what we would like.
Although, Tito, if I can ask, no, there was already a previous wave of Filipino immigrants who came before you. Yun po yung mga garment seamstresses, di ba?
No, with the garments. So another thing that had added to our image was we are all Filipinos, we're all garment workers.
Na-identify nila.
Stereotyping. Because actually, when I arrived in Winnipeg, I tried to look for my job as advertising man or a PR man or as a reporter. Nothing. They would not. Number one, no Canadian experience.
Yeah.
So we would just go down to our level, and with my journalism degree and my MBA, I was just supposed to be a warehouse clerk.
Oh, okay.
But I accepted the challenge because there's nothing. Because I told my wife, I don't want to go to Canada because we had already established our thing here in Manila.
Yeah.
We had so many jobs available. But my wife said, Dad, take this opportunity. If you didn't want, you go back after 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay, let's go.
So it was exploratory lang po pala. You were just exploring.
Yeah, exploratory because I didn't resign at USD. I didn't resign in the bank. I didn't resign. I didn't tell my partners in our manufacturing of the first iced tea in Manila. Oh. I didn't tell my sales manager of Loyola, the Loyola Life Plan in 1960 in that area, because we were the first counselor of the Loyola Marikina.
Oh,
Yes. So anyway, when we arrived in Winnipeg, I was expecting something. I was,
uh,
I was expecting a red carpet welcome,
oh,
but everybody was surprised when I was in the company already. Rod, how come you're good in English? Where did you learn your English? Oh yeah, from Manila to Vancouver, I learned my English. Oh, how many hours did you? 14 hours. Oh, you learned English in 14 hours. Filipinos are smart, okay? So I was I was a little bit big mouth, and one of the department heads called me, Rod, how come you're the only Filipino with a big mouth? I said, what's wrong with a big mouth? No, most of your Filipinos here, they just smile at you. Yes, 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 I will. Not me, okay? I don't care. So
yeah.
that created a little bit of a cultural dislocation.
Uh-huh.
And when I was assigned in a warehouse, it is different from my office in Genbank. There's a different office in my at UST as a public affairs officer and also as a professor at UST. Okay, I'm here. I told my wife, okay, I'll not go back. It's a challenge for me. I'll prove to them that there are Filipinos that are considered different.
Mhm.
And so I was called by the personal manager. How come you're different? You're different, Rod. You are so articulate, and you talk a lot. No, I don't want to belittle other people, but I said that's my culture. That's what I was educated. Okay, accept me as I am. But you're different, Rod. I don't care. What different the color of my skin? No, but you are very fluid in English and so on.
Yeah.
And even the bank. How come you're good in English? I said, would you like to know the history of the Philippines? No, I didn't know. I'll give you the history of the Philippines in 5 minutes. Okay, 350 years under the Spanish regime, 50 years under the Americans, and we will learn English from the Americans. We learned more about the history of the biographies of Abraham Lincoln, uh, uh, those those presidents of the United States. Never in our chance to learn more about Andres Bonifacio. So we
Uh-huh.
were given that American English, or we were Americanized. And then afterwards, Marcos, this Marcelo, or this less than 4 minutes. So the reason that we were, or that we are speaking a good English, because we were Americanized. Oh,
Mhm.
is that right? I didn't know that. So ignorance is the common denominator of
Yeah.
racism. There was no intention to degrade you. They were only surprised.
Ah,
The
okay. Yeah, yeah.
difference.
Fairness.
So, but I have to explain to them the difference and so on. And I told them most of the government workers are former teachers. They are most of these people are high school graduates, and some are elementary graduates, but they know how to communicate. But
Yes.
how come you are you are very argumentative? I don't argue. I reason out.
Yeah.
And so when when, when I was in my department, I said I will change something in this company because the government company had a problem with production. So my minor in MBA is production. So I made a production schedule.
Oh, wow.
And then the president saw me. What was that schedule? I said the schedule because so many problems in your manufacturing. So
Mm.
I made a proper production from the beginning up to the finishing. Was that right? So after 2 hours, she went back to me. Rod, can you take over the purchasing department starting on Monday? Are you sure that you will be in my near my office, air conditioned with swivel chair, and you'll be my assistant. Oh, thank you, sir, thank you, sir. So Monday, he told me start on Monday. And then I think a white lady was in charge of purchasing. Oh, you're the only Filipino who will take over my job. I think so, madam.
Ah.